Hello, students. Nice to see you again. If you noticed, I hung up a new piece of artwork in the back, so I changed it up a little bit. Hopefully, you like the new scene. Anyway, today we are going to start our new YouTube video, and recently we were talking about holidays in America, and there was one holiday called Columbus Day that we celebrate every October. And Christopher Columbus was a really important part of American history or pre-American history. Today's topic is about Christopher Columbus, and I'd like to teach you guys all about his history and backstory and why he became a very famous explorer who discovered what they called the New World. At that time, of course, America didn't have a name, or the Americas didn't have a name. It was just called the New World. And it's a very exciting story. So I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, let's get started. When I was in elementary school, during a history lesson, the teacher taught us all a nice little rhyme. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. This was an easy way for us to remember the story of a man who discovered America and when it happened. Christopher Columbus is one of the most important people in American history because he is the one who first discovered America by accident. And so he is celebrated once a year on Columbus Day. In today's video, let's talk about Christopher Columbus, who he was, his history, and why he is celebrated in America even today. Christopher Columbus was born in Genoa, Italy in 1451. From a young age, he had a keen interest in navigation and exploration. His interest in exploration and traveling the sea came from his hometown. Genoa was a major port city with strong ocean trade. At a young age, Columbus would be an apprentice on a ship, a trade ship, and learn a lot about navigation and sailing. Columbus also had an older brother who was a professional cartographer, which means a map maker, and a navigator who would inspire Columbus on his great adventures. His dreams of discovering new trading routes to reach the riches of Asia by sailing westward were motivated by his understanding of geography and astronomy. Columbus believed that he could reach Asia by sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. This was because at that time, people believed the Earth to be much smaller than it actually was. At that time, most of Europe was connected because of the Catholic Church, but Italy was not yet a unified country. So Columbus had to go to another country to get funding for his big expedition. It was Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand of Spain who provided Columbus with the opportunity he sought. At the time, the Spanish monarchs were looking for a way to expand their influence and find new trade routes to Asia. Columbus presented his ambitious plan to them, and in 1492, after years of persistence, he secured their sponsorship for his expedition. In August of that year, Columbus set sail with 3 ships, the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Nina, embarking on a voyage that would forever alter the course of history. His goal was to find a western route to Asia and the fabled riches of the East Indies. Instead, he stumbled upon a land previously unknown to Europeans, the Americas. The expedition itself had many challenges. The sailors faced rough seas, occasionally getting lost at sea with bad navigation, and even doubts about the success of their mission. However, on October 12th, 1492, land was sighted, and Columbus had unwittingly discovered the island of the Caribbean. His achievement marked the beginning of the Columbian Exchange, a significant exchange of plants, animals, and cultures between the Old World and the New. Columbus's interaction with the native people he encountered were complex and often marred by misunderstandings and clashes of culture. He initially referred to the native people as Indians, mistakenly believing he had reached the eastern shore of Asia. His encounters with the indigenous population had a big impact on both the New World and the Old World. The exchange of ideas and resources reshaped society on both sides of the Atlantic. However, Columbus and his men brought diseases to the New World that devastated many of the native populations. Fast forward to today, where Americans celebrate Columbus Day on October 12th every year. There are many reasons why Columbus Day is still celebrated. First, it is a celebration of exploration and the spirit of discovery. It honors Columbus's historic voyage to the Americas, which had a big impact on global history. Second, it is a part of the national pride of many Americans that come from Italy. Italian Americans see Columbus as a symbol of pride for their community and want to celebrate their heritage and contribution to the shaping of the USA. And finally, Columbus Day gives people the opportunity to learn about history and the age of exploration and the beginnings of American history. There are so many remarkable events in American history. There are so many remarkable events in American history, but none of them would be possible without the first discovery of America by Europeans, which began with Christopher Columbus and his ambition to sail the seas. Next October 12th, please remember Columbus and the impact on global history that he had. Okay, that's all for my essay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's look at some of the vocab words that we could learn in today's lesson. Okay. Here are the vocab words, and we're going to start with the first one, keen. Here, keen. Keen means having or showing eagerness or enthusiasm, being excited or motivated or ambitious about doing something. In the essay, it said that Columbus had a keen interest in navigation and exploration. So when he was young, his family lived in Genoa. His brother was sailing on a ship, making maps. He had a job on a ship. That's our next vocab word, apprentice. So Columbus would be an apprentice on a trade ship. Let's learn what apprentice means. Here we are. Apprentice is a person who is learning a trade from a skilled employer, having agreed to work for a fixed period at low wages. So basically, you are like an assistant to an expert, and the expert teaches you everything he knows. And then after you learn everything and become skilled, you don't have to be an apprentice or an assistant anymore. You can be your own independent expert. So Columbus was an apprentice on a trade ship, and he learned a lot about sailing, navigation, trade, and things like that. Number 3 is expedition. A journey undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, especially that of exploration, research, or war. So in this case, it was exploration. That was the main reason Columbus was going on his expeditions. And he was trying to reach India and Asia by going across the Atlantic Ocean, which no one had ever done before. No one tried that before. And The reason why the king and queen of Spain paid for his trip is because they wanted to make new trading paths. So most of the trading routes had already been discovered, like going through the Red Sea or going under Africa. But Columbus believed, oh, if I sail across the Atlantic Ocean, I can go to Asia very quickly. And that would open up new opportunities for Spain to trade with Asia. They could get an advantage over other countries. So that's why they paid for his expedition. All right, number 4 is persistence. So in our essay, it says that Columbus presented his ambitious plan to the king and queen of Spain. And in 1492, after years of persistence, he secured their sponsorship. So persistence means continuing in an opinion or course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. So what this means is that he never gave up. For years, he was asking the king and queen of Spain to sponsor his trip, and maybe he was rejected or denied. Maybe the king and queen of Spain told him not yet or please wait, but he continued his course of action. He didn't give up, even though it was a very difficult thing to do. Finally, we have the word unwittingly. So unwittingly means without being aware or unintentionally. Intention means to do something with intent, on purpose. So if you're doing something unintentionally, it means that you're doing it on accident. So in the essay, it said Columbus had unwittingly discovered the islands of the Caribbean. Columbus had unwittingly discovered the islands of the Caribbean. So he accidentally discovered them. He believed it was East Asia. He thought it was like India or maybe one of the smaller Asian islands, like maybe the Philippines or Indonesia or something like that. He believed it was that country. And he called those people Indians because he thought maybe it was India. So it was an accident that he discovered the Caribbean. All right, let's move on to our discussion questions. Our first discussion question is, what do you like about the story of Christopher Columbus? What kind of makes you excited, or what was interesting for you when you heard about the story? Number 2 says, are there any famous explorers in your country? Are there any people from your country that sailed a ship somewhere or made a trade route or maybe explored some places inside the country and opened up new areas for the country? Number 3, are there any holidays in your country that celebrate a single person? So in America, we have Columbus Day. We are celebrating Christopher Columbus. And also, we have something called President's Day, but that is a new holiday. That was called George Washington's Day a few years ago. When I was growing up, it was Washington Day, and we were celebrating George Washington, the first president. But these days, we just say President's Day, and we celebrate all our presidents. But how about you? Do you have any holidays that celebrate a single person? Number 4, do you know of any other famous explorers in the world? And what did they do? So just thinking off the top of my head, we have Marco Polo or Magellan, and I'm sure there's many more. So please tell me what famous explorers do you know and what did they do? And finally, the last discussion question, if you had the opportunity to explore a new land, would you do it? Why or why not? So if you were given if you were on the boat, on the Santa Maria or on the Nina or Pinta, could you go to the New World? Could you sail on the seas and explore new lands? Would you try to do that if you had the opportunity? Why or why not? Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed our discussion on Christopher Columbus. I look forward about talking to this with you guys in our next meeting. And yeah, have a good day and enjoy the rest of your obong. See you.